The sun was high above the prairie when the dust rose on the quiet road that split the land between silence and survival. Heat shimmered on the horizon, a wavering curtain between two worlds. The man astride his horse with reins loose in his hands, and the children standing in the middle of the path with bare feet hardened by earth and worry. Adam slowed his horse, the animal stamping at the stubborn air, ears twitching as if sensing the trembling courage that held those little bodies upright. A girl of 6, her dress faded and patched in places, lifted her chin though her voice trembled when she spoke. Beside her stood a boy of 4, clinging to her skirt, his eyes too wide for his age, carrying the weight of hunger and fear. "Sir," the girl said, her words sticking in the dry air, "if we work for you, would you let Mama sleep there? She's too bruised to walk." The boy's small hand pointed back down the road. Adam followed the gesture, and there, against the backdrop of endless sky and the worn track of travelers, stood a woman on crutches. Her figure was slight but stubborn, shoulders bent with fatigue yet refusing to break. She leaned against the wood as if each step had been wrestled from pain, her head bowed low beneath a loose bonnet that shaded her face. Even from a distance, Adam saw what others might have turned away from, a body marked by hardship, a spirit trying to carry dignity on wounded legs. He swallowed against the dryness in his throat. Words did not come easily to him. They never had since betrayal had cut him years ago. Still, silence here would be cruelty, and cruelty he could not stomach. "Where's your home?" he asked quietly. The girl's eyes flinched, as though she had expected rejection instead of gentleness. "Nowhere," she whispered. "Not anymore." Adam's gaze shifted back to the woman. She had stopped now, resting her weight, her chest rising with effort. He dismounted slowly, dust swirling around his boots as they met the ground. The horse huffed, pawing once, sensing his master's unease. The boy clung tighter to his sister, eyes darting. Adam crouched down, lowering his tall frame until he met them eye to eye. "What's your mama's name?" The girl pressed her lips together before answering. "Anna." The name settled into Adam like a stone dropped into water, ripples moving outward, quiet but undeniable. He glanced again at the woman, Anna, and saw how the light caught her face for a moment when she raised her head. Bruises painted her skin in muted blues and purples, yet her eyes, though shadowed, carried a fire that had not gone out. The children looked at him, hope trembling in their tiny bodies, as though this moment held the weight of salvation or despair. He thought of turning away. His ranch was his refuge, a place built on order and solitude, not on wounded strangers who carried stories heavy enough to crush. Yet something deeper stirred. Memory of a younger version of himself, standing with nothing but shame and loss, praying someone would see past the dirt to the soul beneath. He rose slowly, brushing dust from his knees, and turned his face toward Anna. "Bring her," he said softly, his voice roughened not by reluctance, but by the fragile thread of mercy being tested. "You can stay. For now." The girl's breath escaped in a gasp of relief, the boy blinking as though he had not believed kindness could wear spurs and leather. Adam led his horse by the reins, walking toward Anna. She shifted unsteadily, her hand tightening on the crutch as if ready to retreat. "You don't have to," she murmured before he could speak. Her voice was quiet but steady, a voice that carried the pride of someone too familiar with scorn. Adam paused. "Maybe I don't, but maybe I want to." Her eyes searched his face, wary, measuring whether the words were born of pity or something steadier. She gave a faint nod, and with the children hovering close, they followed him down the dusty road toward the ranch. The barn came into sight first, broad and weathered, smelling of hay and horse sweat, standing like a sentinel beside the modest house beyond. Adam gestured. "You'll rest there. It's clean enough." Anna leaned heavier on her crutches, as if the walk itself had drained the last of her strength. Maya hurried to her side, slipping an arm around her mother's waist though her small frame could offer little more than love. Robert scurried ahead, peeking into the barn with the curiosity of a child not yet buried by burdens. Adam kept his distance, watching. He felt the unease of someone allowing strangers into the marrow of his world, but he did not step back. He could not. Inside, the barn was cool with shadows. Dust motes drifted where sunlight pierced through cracks in the boards. Adam pulled a stack of old blankets from a shelf, spreading them over a pile of straw. "It's not much," he muttered. Anna sank down slowly, wincing as she lowered herself. She let out a sigh, not quite relief, not quite surrender, something between. "It's more than most would offer." Her words pressed into him. He wanted to brush them aside, to say it was nothing, but he knew it wasn't nothing. For her, it was everything. Days began to take shape around them. Maya rose early, eager to help sweep the barn. Her small hands determined though the broom dragged heavier than her strength allowed. Robert followed Adam around, eyes wide, mimicking the man's movements with miniature earnestness. Anna, though weary, insisted on cooking meals from what little was offered, moving about with painful slowness, but dignity intact. Adam said little, but he noticed everything. The way Anna's hands trembled when she held a spoon too long, the way her children's laughter softened her features into a glow, the way shame flickered across her eyes whenever townsfolk glanced their way when they walked into town together. It was in town that the sharpest edges revealed themselves. Whispers carried louder than the wind. "That's her," voices muttered behind cupped hands. "Bruised woman with 2 little ones. Must have driven her man off, or worse." Laughter not born of joy, but of cruelty followed. Adam clenched his jaw, every muscle straining. Once at the general store, a man spoke too plainly, his tone dripping with disdain. "You taking in strays now, Adam? Ranch turning into a charity house." The words cut, not because of their truth, but because of the venom laced in them. Adam turned, his voice low but edged with steel. "A woman on her feet still holds more grace than a man who tears her down." The man faltered, muttered, and stepped aside. Adam felt the eyes of the town on him, felt the weight of judgment beginning to shift from her shoulders to his. He did not care. Or perhaps he cared too much and could no longer hide it. That night, Anna sat by the dim lantern light in the barn, her children asleep beside her. Adam lingered by the door, uncertain. She spoke without lifting her gaze. "You shouldn't defend me. It'll ruin your name." Adam leaned against the frame, shadows cutting across his face. "Reputation don't feed the hungry or mend broken bones." She glanced up then, her eyes glistening. For a moment, neither spoke, silence thick with what remained unsaid. Days turned into weeks, and something unspoken grew between them, not in declarations, but in gestures. Adam mended a broken chair and left it by her side, saying nothing of it. Anna baked bread with trembling hands and left a slice by his plate, her gratitude quiet but steady. He taught Robert to ride a pony, the boys' laughter ringing across the ranch like bells. Maya brought Adam wildflowers, her smile shy yet blooming. The children became the bridge neither adult dared build alone. Robert fell asleep against Adam's chest after long hours of helping with chores, his small hand curled into the fabric of Adam's shirt. Maya told her mother, "You smile more now," and Anna pressed her lips to her daughter's hair, holding back tears. But the world was never gentle for long. One afternoon at the town's well, a drunken man staggered near, his words slurred with cruelty. "Worthless woman," he sneered, "living off others' mercy." Anna froze, shame burning her skin hotter than the sun. Before she could retreat, Adam was there, his hand gripping the man's collar, not striking but holding, his voice sharp as a blade. "That woman has more worth than you'll ever see in 10 lifetimes." The man stammered, backed away, leaving silence in his wake. Anna, trembling, whispered later in the quiet of the barn, "You shouldn't for me." Adam turned his gaze on her, rough but earnest. "I'd do it 100 times." Something shifted then. That night, Anna spoke of her past, voice breaking yet steady. She told of the man who had left her, leaving scars not only on her body but on her soul, debts unpaid and dignity shredded. Adam, listening, felt the ache of her words deep in his bones. When she finished, he confessed his own wound, how the woman he once promised to marry had betrayed him with his closest friend. Silence held them, but not emptiness, understanding. Maybe we're both limping souls, Adam said softly. But two limps can make a walk. Anna's tears slid silently, and she did not hide them. For once, being seen did not feel like judgment. The days that followed bloomed with quiet hope. Anna moved slower but steadier, her children brighter under Adam's watchful care. The ranch, once too silent, now held laughter woven into its dust and walls. One evening, as the sun bled gold across the sky and the prairie wind carried whispers through the tall grass, Adam stood by the corral, his heart pounding with a weight he could no longer keep hidden. Anna was near, leaning gently on her crutch, the children chasing fireflies at the edge of the yard. He turned to her, the silence stretching between them like a bridge unwalked. "Anna," he said, his voice low but certain. She looked at him, eyes wide, breath-catching. "I've watched you fight to stand when the world wanted you down. I've seen courage in your bruises, strength in your silence, and grace in your every step. And I can't," his voice faltered then steadied, "I can't stand on the other side of that anymore." He dropped to one knee, not out of show, but humility, dust rising around him. "Anna, I don't see bruises when I look at you. I see a woman I'd walk through fire for. Will you let me walk beside you? Not as a stranger, not as a man with pity, but as a man who loves you." Anna's lips trembled, her hand covering her mouth as tears welled. The children froze, watching, their little faces lit by wonder. Anna's voice came out broken but clear. "Yes, yes, Adam." He rose, taking her hands gently, as though they were treasures, not wounds. The children clapped, their laughter ringing, and Anna fell into his arms, her crutches clattering to the ground. The prairie wind carried the sound of joy, folding it into the endless sky. And there, under the gaze of sun and dust and time itself, two broken souls found not perfection, but wholeness in each other. The years would carry their share of storms, but in that moment, hope stood taller than any sorrow. And if you, dear soul, should ever find yourself bowed beneath whispers, bruised by hands or words not your own, remember this: the world will try to tell you what you're worth. It will point to scars and call them shame. But worth is not written by the town's tongue. It's carved in the way you rise, in the kindness you give, and in the love that dares to see you whole. So walk on even limping, for sometimes two limps can make a dance.